Hi there, this is David and welcome to my overview and discussion of the Ys series. Undoubtedly the great granddaddy of action RPGs, first released in 1987 and now numbering 10 mainline games, as well as countless remakes, ports, and spin-offs. Here, I'm going to guide you through the series and help you make heads and tails of it. All but one game follows the adventures of Adol Christian, a red-haired warrior who has a penchant for getting shipwrecked on mysterious and imperiled lands. The world that Adol inhabits mirrors our own in many ways, with continents such as Europa and Africa being modeled off of Earth's Europe and Africa. Only the games take place in a historical conundrum. The technology is decidedly medieval steampunkish, well, depending on the locale, while the nations themselves are based off of ancient empires, such as the expansionist Roman Empire. Don't overthink it too much though. It's a JRPG after all, and suspension of disbelief is pretty much required. None of the games are truly connected insofar as you have to play the first one in order to play the second. They're more connected thematically, and with some recurring characters such as Dogi. Each game is taken from his travelogue, of which there are 100, and each is detailing an adventure that he had in a different region. The series was developed by Falcom and first released when I was 5 years old. However, back then, English releases were sparse, so it was really only with Ys 3 Wanderers from Ys being released on a system that people actually owned that I remember reading about it in Nintendo Power and being thrilled to play it, because it looked like a lot like Lagoon and Soul Blazer, both of which I really enjoyed. So I rented it and I quickly found it to be very hard, like brutally difficult. So I returned it and I never really thought about it again. That was until about 10 years later when Ys 6, The Ark of Nepishtim, was released for the PlayStation 2. I fell in love, and I must have been in good company because just a few years later on the PSP, Falcom unleashed the floodgates and the Ys series just poured into the West. I am proud to say that I have played every single Ys game, so you are in good hands here as I guide you throughout the series and discuss them, starting at the series' chronological origin, Ys Origin. First released on Steam, Ys Origin is an anomaly. It's the only game in the series that does not star Adol. In fact, it serves as a prequel, taking place 700 years before the events of the first game, and it's pretty much just a straightforward dungeon crawl through the Dharam Tower. You might think that this is a bad thing, but I'm here to tell you that it's not. I loved the game. Not only is each floor a different theme, making it all look and feel different, but you can play through with two different characters with two entirely different playstyles and storylines. Then, if you completed it with them, a third playable character opens up, which allows you to reach the true ending. Each story can be completed in about under 10 hours though, so a full playthrough shouldn't take you all that long. Ys 1 and 2 were originally intended to be one full game, but in development they were split. However, in every subsequent release, they've been bundled into one game. I first played this gem on the Wii's Virtual Console, then later on the PSP. Combat is basic but unique. Adol just runs around like a battering ram, slamming into the mobs in front of him, and if he hits them head on, he takes damage. But if he hits them slightly off-center, he'll deal damage. It's simple, but it works beautifully. The story follows Adol as he saves the land of Asteria, which is essentially England, and along the way he'll meet some recurring characters such as the twin goddesses of Ys, his best friend Dogi, and his somewhat canonical love interest, Lilia. The second part actually takes place in the floating magical land of Ys, and is the only game to do so. No matter which version of the game that you choose to play, it shouldn't take you any longer than about 10 hours to complete. The third game has two real versions, Wanderers from Ys on the SNES, and Oath of Felghana on the PC and PSP. Save yourself the headache and play the updated version, because Wanderers of Ys, though, is a mess. Falcom wanted to copy Zelda 2's formula, and the whole game was just unrecognizable with side-scrolling combat, ridiculous difficulty, and useless rings. It's really only worth looking into for curiosity's sake. On the other hand, the remake, Oath in Felghana, is so well done and completely voice-acted, and it uses the modern Ys combat system introduced in Ys 6, so now, instead of steamrolling your enemies, you hack, slash, jump, and cast magic just as you would in any other action RPG. The two games follow Adol and Dogi as they return to Dogi's hometown of Redmont in Felghana, which would equate to about Germany in our world, and even though Dogi accompanies you, Adol does have to fight his way through Felghana alone, but it is nice to learn more background about your good friend. And now with that, we've made our way to one of the strangest cases in gaming, the 3 different versions of Ys 4. You heard me right, there are 3 completely different versions of the exact same game. Falcom jobbed out the creation of their first game to Tonkin House, who was tasked with creating Ys 4 Mask of the Sun for the SNES, while Hudson Soft developed Ys 4 Dawn of Ys for the TurboGrafx-16. Both of the games follow the same general outline of events in the forests of Salsetta, or Spain. While Dawn of Ys is a much better game, Falcom went and said that the canonical versions of the events was actually Mask of the Sun. Probably because of the ending, which I'm not going to spoil here. That being said though, Falcom recently cleared up the confusion by disowning both of the previous Ys games and creating their own 4th game, Ys Memories of Salsetta, for the Vita and PC, which uses the Ys 7 engine with multiple party members to best advantage. These 2 older versions of Ys 4 are the last time that the bump combat system would be used, though as everything did change with the next installment. Ys 5, Sand City of Kefin, is the only one of the older Ys games to not have a remake on the PSP or even a PC release, and since it was only released in Japan, emulating it is pretty much mandatory. This quest marked a change in the series, as it's the first time that Adol leaves Europa for Africa, and the entire engine has been changed for the better. Combat is no longer using that bump system, it's a much more traditional overhead affair similar to Zelda Link to the Past. It's done well and the world is gorgeous. However, it's also ridiculously easy because there aren't really any item limitations. Japanese gamers complained so much that Falcom retooled the game and then later on released an expert version. Too bad that they didn't just include like a difficulty mode selector. But I digress. I played this emulated and translated many years back, and it's short, even short by Ys standards. I think that I finished it in like 5 hours, while the other games that we've seen thus far all probably take about 10 to complete. Other than my brief one-night stand with Ys 3 on the SNES, Ys 6 Arc of Nepishtim was my true introduction to the series, since I didn't have a TurboGrafx-16 for Ys 1 and 2, and I hated Ys 3, so I took a chance on Ys 6 for the PS2, and boy am I glad that I did. Combat is very similar to Ys 5, only better, with Adol now wielding elemental swords to exploit weaknesses, and fast travel options are now implemented. Ys 6 though is an outlier in the series, as Adol is now shipwrecked on the islands of Canaan, which are part of the Atlas continent, or America, with the Canaan Islands being akin to the Caribbean, and that makes this entry the only one not taking place in the Old World. Ys 7 on the PSP marked the first and only time that a mainline game was released only on a portable system, and here is where Falcom really decided to make a quantum leap and change the tried and true Ys formula, mostly as now Adol actually gets companions. 5 other party members join him on his journey, each outfitted with their own skills, limit breaks, weaponry, and different style of fighting. Also implemented is a sort of rock, paper, scissors weapon tree, similar to the Fire Emblem series. Basically, there are sword users, axe users, and archers, and you need to switch throughout them on the fly in order to exploit enemy weaknesses. It is a marked improvement to the series, and it really spices things up. Also, they beefed up the length of the journey, because from here on out, the games have gone from about 10-hour adventures to upwards of 40 hours to complete. However, the world and story is much more fleshed out as well. Unfortunately though, some busy work has been added in the form of bounties, fetch quests, and the dreaded hug the edge of every single map for map completion thing. Ain't nobody got time for that. Ys 8, Lacrimosa of Dana is widely regarded as the best in the series and the first to enter the HD realm, and Falcom used the hardware to best advantage by creating a true masterpiece. Adol shipwrecked on the cursed island of Siren, which essentially translates to the Greek islands in our world. But there, he sets out to explore the tropical landscapes, rescue other passengers marooned by the shipwreck of the Lombardia, and build a bustling settlement. It almost reminds me of Suikoden in a way, and it's gobs of fun, still utilizing all the improvements that Ys 7 implemented, but now it's a full console experience. And with that, we've made it to the final game so far, Ys 9 Monstrum Nox, which really is an oddball, but what fun it is. Rather than giving you a country to explore, Adol's now confined to a prison city, which he traverses with the help of gifts, which allow him to run straight up walls, hover, have X-ray vision, or warp around. You really feel like a superhero as you go zipping up spires, fly over ravines, and slaughter your enemies with vim and vigor. The combat system perfected in Ys 8 returns, but now with these added gifts, it brings such a multifaceted dimension to an already perfect exploration system. The storyline is decidedly dark rather than cheery, but it works so well. Honestly, you could pretty much start anywhere in this series if you wanted to, but as this is the most recent and to me the most fun game in the series, I would definitely start here. Then, if you like what you see, work your way back through Ys 8, then back through 7, and then through various remakes on the PSP and PC. Just enjoy your time with Adol, because his stories are a doozy and well worth it. Well, that's it for my overview and discussion of the Ys series. There's a lot here, and I hope that I've demystified this long-running action RPG franchise. If you like this video and what I do here on the channel, please consider supporting me on Patreon for exclusive videos and early access to my content, or coming on over to my Discord to chat and hang out. The links to them can be found in the video description. This has been David. If you like this, please like, comment, and subscribe, and have a good day.